This is Professor Jack, and this is week 2, lecture 2. We'll cover chapter 3, chapter 4, and chapter 5. Part 1 of the lecture will be chapter 3 and chapter 4. Part 2 of the lecture will be chapter 5. So part 1 will cover chapter 3, which is on socialization, and chapter 4, which is on social structure. And then second part of the lecture will cover chapter 5, which is group dynamics. So chapter 3. What is socialization? Socialization is the lifelong process of social interaction. It starts in birth and ends in death. It happens throughout the stages of child and human development and changes in intensity and frequency depending on the stage. Socialization is important because through social interaction, one acquires a self-identity and the physical, mental, and social skills needed for survival. Okay, agents of socialization, in other words, society. Okay, the two most influential aspects of society to the individual is family and education, and it goes down the ranks to military and sports. But then historically, religion was the second most influential, but it lost something down the ranks over time. A trivial question that I have is why? Well, maybe Americans prefer to watch TV and than going to church. Who knows, right? I mean, it's just one of those trivial questions that I have. Stages of human development. We have the stage, and then we have the age cohort, and then pertaining to the stage, and then we have the socialization agent or agents that are influential to that stage. For instance, infancy, family, and daycare, right? Young adulthood, peers, family, media, sports, okay? And then advanced elderly years, we have family, religion, economics. So depending on the stage, you have a given socialization agent that is most influential to the general American, okay? Not to all of us, maybe not you, but just in general, okay? Let's see. We have two case studies. I'm not gonna discuss the case studies. I'm gonna tell you what I was able to extract from these two case studies. Here's what I was able to extract, is that socialization deprivation is really detrimental to the development of the child. When you deprive a child of socialization, you're not allowing this child to develop a self-identity, who he is or who she is. Without social contact, we cannot form a sense of self or personal identification. The self represents the sum total of perceptions and feelings that an individual has of being a distinct, unique, and genuine person. The sense of self is not present at birth. It develops throughout the stages of development, of human development. Okay, so you have those that are the proponents of the nature and then proponents of the nurture debate. They get at it all the time. In reality, in my opinion, 99% of who you are, of your self-identity, is acquired through human development, to the experiences that you develop as you grow, right? So gender roles also part of it as well. How do you develop these feminine qualities or these masculine qualities is also taught by agents of socialization, like mom and dad, like teacher, like peers at school or your friends in the neighborhood. Television has a big shot on it too, right? Religion, sports, etc., right? So that's kind of the answer there for the nature versus nurture debate as well. Gender is a social construction. No. You were not born like that. You develop that as you go on and meet people, okay? So self-theorists, in terms of theories of self, we have two. We have Charles Cooley and George Matt. Charles Cooley, to start, and his looking glass self. It refers to the way in which a person's sense of self derives from the perceptions of other people. And three-step process, accordingly, that people play are that people imagine how their personalities and appearance will appear to other people, and then they imagine how people will judge them, right? And then from that, they develop a self-concept, and they play that three-step process repeatedly as they meet new people or meet new groups. Unlike George Matt, he talks about the role-taking, and that's a two-stage process, if you want to say. It's the significant other, which is family, and then the generalized other, which is society. And there's three, small stages, early stages of self-development in the infancy stage, sub-stages of the significant other stage that you go ahead and read at your own, okay, at your own pace. And pretty much this is going to be a transition from chapter 3, which is on socialization, to chapter 4, on social structure. So chapter 4. And let's see, we have a statement here, and this statement reads the following way. Social structure, yeah, here we go. The notion of social structure as relationships between different entities or groups, or as enduring and relatively stable patterns of relationship, emphasizes the idea that society is grouped into structurally related groups. So in other words, society is made out of small and large groups. Okay, that's what society is to these people. Okay, that's society. The social structure is groups. Social structure may be seen to underlie important social systems, including economic, legal, political, and cultural systems, as well as others that we have not discussed. Okay, examples of social structure are family, religion, law, the economy, and class. Right? Okay, the dynamics within those groups, in other words, right? And the name for those dynamics is social interaction, is the key element for group structure, right? Therefore, society, right? Groups, therefore, is the micro level of structure. See, here's one of the things about it is that in small groups, you need social interaction, like in a small family group or a group of 2 people, maybe, right? The smallest group possible will be a dime. You need social interaction. And then in large groups, you need the structure of social interaction. You need social interaction, but you need it to be well structured by the bureaucracy, or by a bureaucracy. So micro and macro level of analysis. We have at a micro level relatively small groups, but then at a macro level social institutions, right? Go back to chapter 3 on the agents of socialization, and those agents of socialization actually also become are very similar to the social institutions that we're talking about right now. There are 5 social institutions really. When we discuss this, we discuss these in chapter 1, right? Also, right? Okay, so go back to those. In a group, the 3 main characteristics must be accomplished, and you have those 3 characteristics there. You know, a leader. We'll talk about it more in chapter 5. Leaders in groups will be discussed in chapter 5. However, we'll discuss aspects of status and role. Both aspects we're going to discuss now. Status is attained in a group dynamic that is attained and establishes hierarchy and position in the group, like the leader, the president of the group, and so on. 2 types of statuses are ascribed and achieved, right? You have some examples there for ascribed status. You have some examples there for achieved statuses, right? So, you know, pretty much the point that I want to make is that both statuses carry roles. The role attaches to the status. Okay, role is determined by the status. Remember that the status is given by the group in society, and each and all statuses carry then roles. In other words, responsibilities, expectations, right? Okay, how many roles do you play in your life? How about school, work, children, or your own of your own? Married? Are you married or not? All these are roles, both ascribed and achieved. Whether they're ascribed or achieved, there are roles that stick to them, right? That stick to the status, as we kind of mentioned right now. Social interaction. Another theorist in chapter 4 is a sociologist by the name of Erving Goffman. This is going to be one of the third self theorist in a way. Remember that in the socialization chapter we discussed several self theorists who discussed the relationship of self to the social environment, but who indirectly accredited socialization as a construction of self through the stages of development, right? So more on Erving Goffman on the next slide. And let's see. Erving Goffman, a Canadian sociologist, his greatest contribution was his study of symbolic interaction with his elaboration of his dramaturgical perspective in 1959. Goffman suggests that life is a theater and that one changes roles depending the social environment, right? Okay, therefore one's behavior is play acted and in a theatrical presentation. Goffman is significant in discussing social structure because he analyzes how the individual adjusts to the needs of the environment and therefore interacts in accordance to the group's expectations, right? So this is then the third theorist, self-theorist. You know, he talks about how self is a masquerade, how that's how we develop self through everyday social interaction with different people and so on, right? So that's the way it is, right? Okay, so let's see. This is going to be the end of the first part, and we're going to go ahead and do, in the next part, we're going to do chapter 5 on groups, continuing our interesting discussion of group structure in a way, right? Thank you very much for your time.